Yes, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the 1-0 show. Thank you for joining me for another very special video. And if you are new, make sure to like, subscribe, do all that business. We've got a very tasty menu for this week's show because we've got Antonio Conte. He's signed for Tottenham Hotspurs, which is unbelievable. Ole's kept his job. I'm going to give you a rundown of how Conte could play with Tottenham, how he could line up, and 3 players that I think will thrive under Antonio Conte. And we're going to go through the Premier League preview. A big round of fixtures because the Manchester derby, which is going to be tasty. Stick around for that. Let's get into the intro and get into the video. Yes. And as you can tell, I'm a little bit excited. It's been a while since I've sort of sat down here. It's been crazy the last couple of weeks, but don't worry about that. We're going to get a cool little background coming soon. So ignore the white thing, ignore the lighting. We're still trying to make shift this little studio space that we have, but don't worry because the content's coming out. So like I said, if you are new, please make sure to like and subscribe and enjoy the video. Now, Antonio Conte. Oh my goodness. Antonio Conte is the new manager of Tottenham Hotspurs. And as a United fan, as you would sort of seen in the channel with every single video is Manchester United now, which I don't like, but it has to be. Manchester United beat Tottenham 3-0 and somehow we lost. Let that sink in. Everyone was calling it the El Sacico, whatever it was. Okay, Nuno got manager of the month in August, and he's found himself sacked. I don't really like this sacking culture that we've got and sort of just so reactionary, I feel like, which could be a bit rich coming from a United fan, but take it as it is. Nuno got booed out of the stadium, and whether Levy was going to do it right then and there, or because he already knew he had Conte in his back pocket and took that chance of United sort of dwelling on Ole not willing to sack him, and he pounced like that. Maybe that's why he did it, or they just didn't like Nuno. And I think that relationship was a strange one from the very beginning because they sort of came out and said that Nuno was our last option. They sort of Conte already declined them at the start of the season. They had heaps of other managers declining them. Okay, Nuno was sort of linked to the Palace job before Palace got Vieira, and Palace didn't really want Nuno. So why Tottenham really went for him, who knows? But I think it was. But from the very beginning, Harry Kane. I think Harry Kane's got a lot to do with it. And if I'm a Tottenham fan, I'm hating Harry Kane because I think he's got a lot to do with it. But now Tottenham fans are jumping in their beds. They're having the time of their life because they've got Antonio Conte, a serial winner at Tottenham Hotspurs. Now this year he's going to win a trophy. That's a guaranteed. Okay, we've seen the stats. He's taken over Juventus in 7th position that season. He's won the Premier League. He's done the same at Inter. Did the same at Chelsea. I don't think he's going to do that at Tottenham purely because I think there's 4 or 5 better teams than Tottenham. But what I do think, I think that he has to win the Conference League with them because Tottenham's the only real team in it. And he could very well easily go and win a cup, which Tottenham is still in. I think the FA Cup, Tottenham is still in. He could very well do that and automatically become Tottenham's biggest hero. Chelsea fans, how do you feel about Conte going to Tottenham? A big rival of yours, Conte, has gone and he's left. Let me know in the comments down below. But what I think we all know, Conte from the very first day will come in and play his formation, the 3-5-2 or the 3-4-3, which ultimately acts as a back 5 on defense and a back 3 when attacking. I think we know he's got to bring that in from the very beginning. Is his defense good enough to do it? I don't think so. I think Romero will be very good under him in that sort of centre back. He's quite a Conte centre back, and the type of he can play it out quite well. He plays it with that Italian sort of effort and sort of thing. I think Eric Dyer is terrible. I think Dyer will get exposed like mental if he does play in that back 3. But who else do they put in there? So I think 3 players that will strive under Antonio Conte. Holberg. He's an animal. He's a Viking. I love him at United. He's someone who plays with a shirt, plays with a badge, and he's going to give 100%. And we know Conte, how ruthless he is. We know that Conte doesn't take any prisoners. Doesn't take any shit. We know that Holberg and Conte's relationship will be huge. I compare him to a sort of Brozovic type at Inter Milan, someone who was able to do both sort of box to box. Holberg is a little bit more defensive, but he can attack as well. I think Conte and Holberg will be massive for both of their careers. I think Holberg could maybe move on to a bigger team after this Conte Tottenham Hotspur stint. So Holberg is the first player. Second player, we know he likes his fullbacks. And I personally quite like this player, Serge Reguilon. He's been interesting this season, but I think with a good manager, I think Reguilon can really take his game to new heights. I think he has the potential. He sort of just has to be given that license to do such. And playing in that sort of left wing back position, which, assuming he will play, I think Reguilon could really take it up a notch because I think he's got the ability. He's still young, okay, and he works hard. We know Conte's biggest thing is fitness for his players. His players need, and you've seen the Ndombele jokes. Fitness for his players are huge, and I think Reguilon could be that player on the left wing back position to really take his game to new levels and become that second player who I think Conte will thrive under Antonio Conte coming in. So we've got Holberg and Serge Reguilon. Now my third player, bit of a risky one. I could go for the Heung-min Son, but we know how good of a player he is already. I've gone for Lo Celso. I think Conte has got a perfect midfield at every single team he's gone to. I think Brozovic is a sort of perfect Conte midfielder at Inter Milan. Okay, we saw the same how he had the midfield that he had at Chelsea. I think Lo Celso could play that box-to-box midfield position very, very well in a Conte team. Lo Celso cost £60 million. £60 million. No one talks about that enough. Lo Celso has done nothing special. He really has done nothing to prove his worth. But I feel like Conte could really bring something out of Lo Celso. And you look at Holberg and Lo Celso in that midfield, plus another player in that midfield who could be a Harry Winks. Conte could maybe help him out. Could be an Ndombele, but we know that Ndombele gets criticised for his laziness. So whether Conte wants to sort of whip him and get him to work or just leave him out the team completely, I think Lo Celso could be that other midfielder to really get Tottenham up to scratch once again, but really thrive under Conte's new sort of system. What he's also got to bring is a front two, and Kane and Son, perfect for that. We know how well they can work together. We know how well Son can play in that striker just in front of Harry Kane. We know how well Kane can play just in front of Heung-min Son if needed. So I think those two up front could be dangerous. Now you look at the team on paper, not that many players stand out for you right now. Matt Doherty was great at the right wing back position for Wolves. I don't think he can really do that anymore. So it's supposedly come out that Levy's said to Conte he's got to have 100 million to spend in the transfer window. Don't really see it happening. But what I do see him going for is players like I wouldn't be surprised if he tries to bring a Brozovic to Tottenham. I know United have been linked to Brozovic a couple of times throughout the years, but I wouldn't be surprised if he tries to bring another key midfield player. I think a centre-back is high up on Conte's list because we know how poor defensively they can be. Lloris obviously is quite stable in his position. And what do I see for Tottenham going forward with Conte? I see a trophy, not in the near future, but I also do see the Premier League getting very, very tasty in the next couple of seasons. Because if you're looking at, you see the rise of West Ham, you see the rise, I think Arsenal in 3-4 years can be right at the top, challenging top four again. If Conte can do well at Tottenham and avoid any fallings out, you've got three teams there who are on the come up. Then you add your normal four in Chelsea, United, City, and Liverpool. Then you add in a Leicester. If they can continue their form, that's some big players. That's some big teams, some big players, and an interesting title race in the years to come, which, fingers crossed, we do get. Now, we'll head into the Premier League preview. We've got Everton versus Tottenham, and we'll go to that game straight away because Everton have been in interesting form. They've had some good performances. They've had some bad performances. 5-2 loss to Watford was massive. That game was wild. Absolutely wild. Injuries are starting to hurt them. Richarlison came on against Watford, so hopefully Richarlison could start against Tottenham. They'll need a Calvert-Lewin back ASAP. Defensively, Everton just looked very questionable. Pickford had to do so much. And Pickford, I think, is a good goalkeeper. I think he can pull off some very important saves, but they relied on him a very, very, very big amount against Watford. And then ultimately, just at the end, he just couldn't do any more. And Tottenham, this is going to be interesting. They've got Conte in. Are they going to be able to adjust to the new system just like that? I'm not too sure. I think Everton's a pretty good team to do it against, to have his first game against. It's away from home, so he's not going to have that home pressure in his first game. And I think if he can rally all his players up, I think Everton's a perfect opponent for them. I'm going to go for a Tottenham win here. I'm going to go for a 2-1 Tottenham win. I think defensively they still need a lot of improvements, and Harry Kane hasn't been firing, so we can't just totally give a brand new refresh to this Tottenham team. But I think with the right manager to put them in line, it's got to be a massive shell shock, I think, for Spurs. But I think ultimately in the long term, we'll look on it in a very positive note. Then we're getting to West Ham versus Liverpool, which might I just say, cracking game. Declan Rice, 22 years old midfielder. I've been saying it. United need Declan Rice. The price that he'd come at would probably be close to 90 mil. And I think he probably deserves 22 years old, captain of West Ham, so he's a leader. England international, yeah, Premier League proven, obviously, and a cracking holding midfielder who can also play a little bit more box to box if you need him to. Unbelievable player, Declan Rice. And West Ham are on unbelievable form. David Moyes, hats off to you, mate, because it's absolutely smashing it with this West Ham team. They're in the top four. They're in the top four. So are Liverpool. And Liverpool are in fantastic form as well. Just at the time of recording this, just beat Atletico Madrid 2-0 this morning. Really didn't look like losing that game from the very beginning. This, though, however, is at West Ham's home ground. And guess what? I know I got bagged for United against Liverpool, saying that United's got to win this game, blah, blah, blah. I think West Ham will pull away with a 1-1 draw. I'm going to go 1-1 draw for West Ham against Liverpool. West Ham at home. Liverpool could very well come out and give them a 3-0 smacking. But I think West Ham could do bits up front. And Liverpool they've been good defensively. But I think if you sort of get them at the wrong time in patches, you can expose them. Trent Alexander-Arnold was unbelievable today against Atletico Madrid. I think Antonio could just cause problems because he's quite strong. Ben Rama could cause a little couple problems as well. I do think Liverpool will win the game, but I also wouldn't be surprised if West Ham could pull away with a point. They're on some great form, and they've got a lot of confidence behind them. So I think West Ham will come into this with sort of full belief in saying, "Hey, we can win." The Kufal battle will be interesting against Mane. I think Zuma has been putting in some good performances. Defensively, West Ham have been very, very good. I'm really looking forward to this game. It's the last game of the match week. I think it's going to be a cracking game. Drop in the comments, Liverpool fans, are you just expecting another smacking? Or West Ham fans, are you a little bit confident and you maybe sort of could be expecting to take away a point from Liverpool, which will be, I think, a point for West Ham. They'd be absolutely going through the roof, been absolutely buzzing. They do have Europa League in the next coming days too, though, which at the point of recording this, which could be a little bit of a factor heading into this game because obviously we know they don't have the massive squad depth as compared to a Liverpool or a Manchester City. Now, speaking of Man City, Saturday night, which I might just add is also the 1-0 FC Awards night, so I'm going to have a video coming out for that hopefully next week. Manchester United versus Man City at Old Trafford. Cristiano Ronaldo, oh my goodness. The Champions League was unbelievable for Ronaldo. Man United have got so many problems, it's not funny. And I don't like saying it, but it's true. We've got a lot of problems, and it's problems that won't be fixed immediately. The talk of Ronaldo being a bad thing for United, shut up. And if you're saying it, shut your mouth. Because then there's these stats coming out. Oh, if United didn't have Ronaldo, they wouldn't have won this game. They would have done that. Again, shut your mouth. Stupid. Okay? If Liverpool didn't have Salah, they wouldn't have whatever. If Man City didn't have De Bruyne, then Jesus wouldn't be as good. I can take the best players out of other good teams and say stuff for them also. Yes, Ronaldo has saved us many, many times already this season. I'm holding my hands up and agreeing that. I don't disagree with that. But come on, that's a bit stupid. I think Ronaldo is showing that what he can still do to this team. It's whether we can deliver it to him. And it's whether we can have players coming up to his level. I think that's the biggest thing for this United team. And I'm hoping this sort of period of getting lucky points and lucky wins and lucky goals at the end doesn't continue because it's unsustainable. You can't do it for a long time. But what you can do is sort of build fundamentals from now on and sort of look back on these results and go, can we keep on doing it? No. Should we have done it a lot easier? Yes. But you know what? We got the point. And champion teams can salvage points here and there. I'm not saying that we are a champion team, but that's what champions teams need to do. They need to get points here and there, play ugly sometimes, but the problem is we're not playing pretty. Now, this Man City game, I think, could be the perfect time. Ole's kept his job again. Ole won't get sacked until the rest of the season, if we do sack him. You've got Ferguson coming out, and sort of rumours are saying that he's the one who's really protecting Ole and saying, I'd keep him. There was not someone else that I'd get. We've gone to a three back, which is sort of pretty much a five back. Because if you're two fullbacks, a defenders, it's a five back. We can't do that for so long because we've got six attackers fighting for the strike partnership. I love that the strike partnership of Cavani and Ronaldo last week, combined age of 70 years old. But you got Sancho on the bench, Rashford on the bench, Greenwood on the bench, even Lingard, Donny van de Beek, Martial. That's an Paul Pogba, even if you go for the McFred midfield. That's mental. Those are some unbelievable players. Now, obviously, no Paul Pogba against the Man City on the weekend. Does it leave an opening for Donny van de Beek? No. Does it mean we're going to go for McFred midfield again? Yes. But we're just too unpredictable. Just way too unpredictable. Varane is out for a month again. And Harry Maguire, I'm convinced, is playing against us. He doesn't. We're playing with 10 men every game. Eric Bailly has to start. And I'd almost scream for a Lindelof Bailly partnership. But Eric Bailly put in a great shift against Atalanta. That battle with him and Zapata was unbelievable. Like one of the best sort of striker versus centre back partnerships battles I've seen in a long time. I think Maguire just on ball, horrible. And you're going to play up against a City team where if you screw up once against them, they're going to catch you. Whereas Eric Bailly, I think on ball was a lot better, not a lot better, but he can think a little bit quicker than Maguire. I think Maguire's playing with very, very, very low confidence. It looks to me like a centre back that's got zero confidence. He's got zero belief in himself, and that's not what you want. That's really not that's what you want at all. Now, with Varane out, doesn't mean we still stay with the three back with Lindelof, Maguire, and Bailly. I'm not too sure. When does Lindelof come back? I think he should be back for this weekend, but I'm not too sure if Ole's got to take that risk to play three there. I'd love to see Alex Tellers come in and play in that left wing back role because I think if Conte were to sign for United last week, I think Tellers would be one of those players who would sort of benefit him because for Porto, he was putting in assists every single week from that left back position because he can get up the field and he can whip across in. And we know Ronaldo's heading ability. So that's something that I want to do, that I want to see a lot more of. I'm expecting United to stick to that three back. I'm expecting us to see Ronaldo and Cavani strike partnership once again. And I'm going to go and say, I think we have to be a little bit more ruthless. I'd love to see Sancho start. I'd love to see Rashford start. I'd love to see Greenwood start. But I think you've got to give those players who are on form the benefit of the doubt. You know, are we going to look back on the time of Sancho and Van der Beek, and are we possibly seeing a Donny 2.0 with Sancho? Maybe, but if you're not putting it, I'm not saying this is for Sancho in particular, but if you're part of a team that's getting battered, and then you bring out a new sort of system and you play a player who hasn't started many games this season, and you're doing well, you've got to give them the opportunity. So I think Cavani deserves to start again. Maybe it could be why he didn't start against Atalanta. He did come on, but I think you're sacrificing a lot of very good players if you do play that five-back formation. You're sacrificing a Greenwood, a Rashford, and a Jadon Sancho, assuming you stick to the Cavani-Ronaldo strike partnership. Does he play? I'd love to see a Donny van de Beek in midfield instead of a McTominay. Yes, but I don't think we'd see it. Or we just go for the typical 4-2-3-1 with the McFred partnership, Ronaldo up front, and a Sancho Rashford out wide, which I'd love to see as well. It's going to be very interesting. I haven't spoken much about Man City, but I think Man City defensively can be quite vulnerable at times as well. How do I see this game going? I don't know. I've got no idea because part of me goes, we could get battered 5-0. The other part of me goes, we could win 2-1. And because I'm a lovely Manchester United fan, Ole's at the wheel, United's winning 2-1. So, ladies and gentlemen, down below, leave a comment if you think I'm wrong once again, or if you think I'm right. United fans, how are we feeling? Are we still Ole in? Are you still going to support him? Because I think he saved his job for another half a year. And I think we're going to have to just get around him, get around the boys, get around Cristiano Ronaldo, the greatest footballer of all time, and enjoy a good time. And hopefully we can beat Manchester City. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. I'm Costa. This is 1-0. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy. I'll see you next week. Deuces.